All right, we're here with Phil Keoghan. And Phil, thanks so much for joining us to talk about the Amazing Race and the new season coming up. So the tagline is called Double the Stakes, Double the Eliminations. What does that mean?
Literally that. Out of the gate, we have the teams going off to Hong Kong, and we have a new element in the show which we're calling a fork in the road, which is pretty self-explanatory, to be honest with you. 14 teams on this season. We've never had 14 before. All 14 teams get to a fork in the road, and they have to decide to go left or right. And then we run these parallel races where they're literally on their own race course all the way to the finish line. And then those 14 teams become 12 when we eliminate one team from each of the two parallel races up to the finish line. So the stakes are very, very high, literally double chance of getting eliminated. Yeah, and the fork in the road, an interesting element. We'll let the fans decide whether they want us to see, whether they want us to bring it back again. We're bringing back some of the old-time favorites, like the fast forward, which allows a team to do an extra task, and then if they complete that extra task, they can then go directly to the pit stop without having to do any of the challenges on that particular leg. So, yeah, we're just trying. Look, we're always having lots of surprises, but we planted a big surprise in every single episode, made a conscious effort of making sure that there was something unique as a surprise in every single episode.
What was behind the decision to expand it to 14 teams for this season?
Well, once we had the fork in the road, we wanted to have two parallel races where we had even numbers. We've already been at 13 teams, and so we sort of just wanted to even it up. The show is 90 minutes now, so we have the room. And of course, we go from 14 down to 12 going into the second episode. So it was only 14 just for that leg, and it just helped us with the strategy on the fork in the road.
You mentioned Hong Kong. What are some of the other places that we'll get a chance to see that's a part of the show this season?
Hong Kong, Japan, Indonesia, Dubai. Then we head into Europe. Lots of great European countries, including Bulgaria, where we've never been before. It's an interesting place. Every time we go to somewhere new, and they really immerse themselves. They head out of the city, they head out into the country, and they take part in some rural challenges. And at one point they're surrounded by these dancers in a cacophony of noise and yelling and screaming as part of like a ritual that they do there, like deafening. I had to put in ear plugs. I was introducing the challenge, and the noise was just deafening. So yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like 1 minute they're in Los Angeles, they've all lined up, they have no idea where they're going. They have no idea what they're doing. And then, a few days later, they can find themselves in literally in another world. It's like, how did I end up here? And how have I ended up doing these things? And that's a big part of what makes the race so exciting is they're literally like fish out of water, right? They don't know, how did I end up here? What's going on? It's like they're in a parallel universe or something.
Now, the elements of the show, obviously, a big part of it is the travel and all the places that you get to see with it. And what's so fascinating about your bio, Phil, is that you've been traveling since you were like a little kid, like since you were 2 years old. What prompted your love for travel, and what was it about those experiences when you were younger that have kind of propelled you to where you are in your life?
Well, I didn't have a choice when I was super young. My parents basically just packed me up and said, all right, we're going. But I think through them, I learned how to love travel. And I do get a little antsy if I haven't traveled for a bit, if I'm at home for a little too long. I just love the change of environment. There's something great about routine, but I also kind of love not having a routine. I love not really knowing what's happening down the road too much. And my whole career has been like that, and I'm thankful for that. I really don't know how much longer Amazing Race is going to go. I don't know We get picked up season after, one season after another, but we've never really known. And it just so happens that we have continued to do Amazing Race, and it just so happens that I've had these incredible travel opportunities come my way in my life, and I've got to do things in my travel that I would have paid for if I could have afforded it, But I'm lucky enough to say that I get paid to do the thing I love, which is meet people, share stories, and travel the world.
Do you have a spot among all the seasons that takes the cake for like the coolest place you've been?
Well, I had my dad as the greeter back in season 13. I have a really great relationship with my dad. I've done so many adventures with him, like you said, ever since I was a little kid, him walking me down on his shoulders down into the Grand Canyon. I have such fond memories of taking him, to Iceland. So having my dad as the greeter on Amazing Race 13 in New Zealand, take dad to work day, probably one of my best memories, personal memories over the years. We're surrounded by sheep in New Zealand on this hill looking over this city called Tauranga, and I'm there with my dad, and my dad, looks over at me and says, I was thinking maybe you could just retire, let me do this job. I wouldn't mind doing this job. I'm like, no, Dad, that's not happening.
Watch the season premiere of The Amazing Race tonight at 9:30 on WBZ after a new episode of Survivor and streaming on Paramount+.